Hello everyone and welcome to episode 5 of Real Time. My name is Ryan and with me as always is the Batman to my Nightwing.
God, you can set me up every week with this. Robbie. It's Robbie here. Thank you, Ryan. Yeah, what is it going to be next time? I hate to think. No, don't even answer.
That's the mystery I leave for the
mystery.
for the listeners. I was about to say viewers. You're not even looking at us. Speaking of Batman, happy birthday to Batman, 80 years old.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. That is actually completely right. I did see this. Was it Detective Comics 1000?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's a couple of big milestones. Yeah,
it's huge.
It's almost like they were written that way.
Oh, I wonder if it was planned. Because I figure at some point it must have been.
Surely, yeah. Speaking of Batman, we should start off with a Joker trailer that got dropped with Joaquin Phoenix.
All right. I'm gonna ask you straight off the bat because I think you're the bigger Batman fan out of the two of us. Let's be honest. Mm-hmm. So what did you think? Does it appeal? That's the question.
I think when I first heard about it, of like Joaquin Phoenix, the same with most people, it's like, Joaquin Phoenix. He's done a few good movies, but
he's done a lot of good movies. I don't know what you're thinking about.
No. I think the whole purpose of Joaquin Phoenix and the Joker, two things that sort of don't sound like they'd go together.
There seems to be a recurring theme with Jokers being cast, though, right?
Yeah.
This was, not even that. You go back to Batman. Michael Keaton, Heath Ledger, and as much as I didn't like Jared Leto, people still did that, and he could have been good. It just wasn't. But it doesn't mean you can't be good. I think at this point we should be past the casting thing. I'm more surprised people are taking more umbrage with the director. It's the guy that did The Hangover.
Yeah, it was just
all of a sudden he's making this darkest looking DC film for a while, but dark in a different way, in like a Scorsese King of Comedy Taxi Driver-esque.
Yeah, it's definitely the vibe that's coming from it, and I think he's taken inspiration from like everywhere by the looks of it. There looks to be a bit of the Killing Joke story arc as well, which
definitely, that's definitely the case. I can definitely see that in there. It's but it's going to be its own thing too, and it has to be separated, so it doesn't really have anything to do with Batman. And it's a very unusual mix. Very much.
Absolutely. I definitely think if it wasn't, say, Joker or DC related, it could just be its own standalone film where a guy potentially loses his mind in the real world, which this seems to be where it's heading.
Yeah.
So that the world is crazy.
So obviously the trailer came out and it was part of the CinemaCon as well, which obviously was on this week. And the CinemaCon is like, if people don't know what the CinemaCon is, basically it's just a convention for theatrical releases, essentially. All the distributors and all the companies that do all the distribution come together and they basically just have a big meeting, and the studios use it to show off new footage, which means around this time we get a lot of like new information, photos, trailers. The amount that came out was just insane this last week. It's been a ridiculous amount. So aside from the Joker, Joker footage was shown along with the trailer. The trailer obviously was released to the public. Some of the stuff doesn't get released to the public straight away. Some of it doesn't come out at all.
So it's press.
There's press. Some of it's internal.
It.
They relay it. They're part of the industry, and people talk about it, but they don't really show a lot of it off. So some of the other stuff, do you want to talk about some of the other things that have appeared this week? One of the things at my top of my list, and the reason I put it on the top of my list right now, is the second chapter of It.
Yeah.
Which was a huge, one of the things that goes back to CinemaCon, was that when they showed off the first little footage for the first one, it was there, and it was a huge buzz, and rightfully so, because the actual finished film was amazing. And the sequel's looking to get the same sort of buzz. They showed off a couple of scenes and talked about the thematics of the trailer and what they're wanting to show in the movie upcoming for publicity and the usual stuff that you do at these sorts of events. But the response was very positive.
Yeah, and I think it's one thing too is that they had the kid actors and the adult actors there at the same time as well.
Oh, wow.
Posing for photos as well as...
Makes sense.
Of course, I think that some of the footage they showed too was both versions, because the kids are in the second one as well as the adults.
That we didn't see,
yeah. So there's extra scenes. So I think that's probably why they had both casts there.
They have come back. They showed some scenes of which I was very interested to see listed. One of the scenes is very much from the book and is a take, and it exists even in the miniseries version. And the other one is in the miniseries version, but it's the scene that everyone remembers as like one of the worst scenes, which is the Chinese restaurant, and that was a little bit of that shown as well. So it'll be very interesting to see the new horror take on that scene, which was very chintzy and cheesy, but it kind of had to under the TV standards of the time. There was some other cool stuff though. It wasn't just Chapter 2 and the Joker. There was more footage shown of the new Godzilla, and there's also been a previous trailer that we've seen drop. So it was a bit of that and a bit of new stuff.
Bit extended, yeah.
That was pretty positive. There was an animated Scooby-Doo movie announced.
Yeah, Scoob.
Which there wasn't really there wasn't a lot of details. DC, obviously, a lot of stuff through Warner Brothers DC. Wonder Woman 1984 footage was shown. People were seeing pretty positive about it, so it looks different, especially, very 80s. It's got a particularly very clean image to it. Especially
on the back of the first one and Aquaman, just how well those have both done.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously, on top of that as well, they didn't show footage, but they did show some more behind the scenes of Birds of Prey. And everyone said they're looking at, it was more about like the teaser stuff that we've seen already. Got a costume, a bit of aesthetic kind of look, what it's going to look like, and people seem pretty positive. Like, it looks like and doing something completely different finally.
Yeah, away from the whole Justice League
trying to make a universe under Zach Snyder, which we'll come back to later on because there's some other news about that, but we'll leave that for an entirely different discussion. They're starting to gel. Like, obviously, Anchorman was well received. Shazam's been getting great reviews. Like, it sounds like, you know, and this idea of also making Wonder Woman, whatever it is, it doesn't sound like it's a sequel. It's like and this thing with Birds of Prey, which has the Harley Quinn that we already know from Suicide Squad, but then there's going to be another Suicide Squad, and we don't know how it's going to work. But it sounds interesting, and that's the important thing.
There's just so much come out of CinemaCon. Like, should we just list off a whole bunch of stuff?
Well, there was. Excuse me for a second. There was one of the things that caused waves was Helen Mirren was out there promoting the movie The Good Liar, which I don't know a heck of a lot. I didn't read the articles because the articles weren't really talking about the movie. What they were talking about instead was the fact she came out on stage and then as part of this promotion, in front of these like group of cinema chain owners and distributors and all this stuff, was like, I love Netflix, but fuck Netflix. And it's Helen Mirren, so of course the crowd gets up and cheers.
Yeah.
I have no idea what that has to do with the movie. Obviously, it has to do with the distribution and what the whole point of this convention
Maybe it's going to be a DVD release and not be streamed.
Yeah, well, I was going to say after that, that's never not going to Netflix. There was also The Kitchen, which to me sounded like it's a bunch of mob wives. Their husbands go to jail and they end up taking over the family business. It sounds like a variation on the movie I saw last year, the Steve McQueen one, Widows, where the widows of some like gangsters, like criminals, get killed and they take up the mantle of trying to do a heist in order to back pay someone who's blackmailing, basically. I don't know if that's the same thing, but maybe it's a bit unfair to compare the two, but sounds like it's got a stellar cast, like both movies did, to be honest.
Sounds like a good idea of a movie, so
yeah,
I'd be interested to see it.
It definitely does. There's the surprising, like, honestly, I never thought I'd see it, the Doctor Sleep film, which is the sequel to The Shining, if you don't know anything about it. So it's Danny Torrance growing up. It's, Ewan McGregor's playing him, and the buzz around it in general has been pretty positive. We've had a great run of Stephen King adaptations, obviously with it, and Pet Sematary is about to come out, and it's been getting pretty good buzz. So hopefully that will continue. There was some more shown of Rocketman, which isn't that far away. The biopic for
Elton John.
Elton John, thank you.
With Taron Egerton.
Which
I think he's getting well received.
Yeah,
from his portrayal as well.
Did you see the footage of him, the two of them performing together?
Yes, they're saying Rocketman. Is that the one?
No, maybe a couple of songs, but it wasn't the one I saw.
I think there was. I think the one I saw was Rocketman. I was like, wow,
they were really good. They end up singing together. You know, Taron's singing first, and then Elton comes in. And it was really, really good. One of the other things that's been picking up massive waves that I'll just touch on as well, because I read small amounts of details, and obviously they're trying to keep it tight-lipped, and this trailer will probably launch at some point and create massive waves, is the new Ang Lee film Gemini Man. Now, the cast sounds amazing. It's a huge cast, and I don't even have the list in front of me of who the cast is, but the one thing that's been talked about the most about this is that Will Smith's like one of the main characters in it, and they've done the whole young CG thing with him, but it's Weta that's done it here in New Zealand, and apparently just it's jaw dropping. Like, people are stunned by how good it looks and just like what this film looks like. So it sounds like it's a sci-fi-esque drama action. I'm not entirely sure. It's just the vague details have been written. People have been very, I guess maybe there's only so much they can say about it, but nothing but positive comments.
As long as he's not blue or it's as bad as After Earth, I think most people would probably be happy.
Yeah. I'm going to list off just a few more, and then we'll get into some ones with some more details. There's a film version of Cats coming, which apparently, I just read this before, and I don't know if it's true, but the cats are going to be the size of cats, but they're going to be humans as cats. I think that's what I read. I don't know if that's true.
That's
just
weird. Yeah, that's a weird concept.
So they're going to use CG and makeup, I guess. I don't know what they're doing.
It'd be like forced perspective with like giant trash cans.
But there's musicians involved, like they're playing, and like some crazy cuts, like Idris Elba's in this as well. Like, yeah.
All right, we'll see how that.
It's going to be pretty crazy. What else have we got? Secret Life of Pets 2 sequel. They brought gosh, what's his name? Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart came on stage. He plays the bunny, and he was carrying a bunny, and then some of the other cast came out with the appropriate pets. Ridiculous. Like, this is just insane. But anyway, more for
this. Probably the animals they're playing, I would imagine.
Yeah, the version. Yeah. So he plays a rabbit, so he was carrying a rabbit. Like, it's just silly gimmick. There was more of Good Boys shown, and the cast came out, and they made more jokes about the Red Band trailer. They did say something which you touched on last time about whether or not they had to sign a waiver. They were making jokes about that they could watch it with the audience as long as everyone in the audience signed an agreement. So
that's beautiful.
There's that answer. I'm not a Downton Abbey fan, but there's a movie coming that was shown. Yeah,
it's been a long time rumored since the series finished.
There's a couple of other little mini movies things come out of Twin One Bridges, which for the life of me, I was just writing this list and I'm like, what was that again? I remember this, but the other one I had written down beside it was My Spy, which looks like Dave Bautista's attempt at doing like the Tooth Fairy and what's the Jackie Chan one? Spy Next Door.
Yeah.
All those kind of kid old things where he's got like a smart kid with him who
and he's
who becomes a sidekick. I'm sure it'll be funny if it's like any of those other ones. And finally, on the list of non-detail films was the Ford versus Ferrari biopic. Which has got a Matt Damon and Christian Bale. The footage response was like this massive buzz. Like, it's like, this could be an Oscar contender, and it's one of the things that I think Disney's inherited from the Fox purchase, which we'll come back to again later on. And there's some more footage of the Lion King shown, which I just wanted to touch on briefly because we've talked about it so endlessly. But the thing that got me was that they said 90% of the dialogue was pretty much the same as the original. Yeah. And there was already grumblings on the internet like, what's the point of remaking if it's going to be so similar? And this is just only continuing to prove the point. I'm sure it'll still do gangbusters. We've talked about this plenty enough, but it's pretty crazy. I'll let you talk about some of the other stuff. I think there's a return of a cyborg that you wanted to discuss.
Yep, absolutely. There was also Terminator Dark Fate. More photos and release date came out as well. I think. There was more photos of the aged Arnold, where I think it's going to take after was the last one not is it Genesis?
Genesis.
No, yeah, after Genesis. Where he's an older, I guess, Terminator, if you will. Which I guess now you can't. You could use the technology and de-age him, but I think now it's just past that point.
Yeah, I think it's better to try and explain it in a plot point. But who knows that the way we're just talking about with this Gemini Man film, like who knows like where these things can go. They showed footage and there's some details. I don't think I'll talk about them because there's some kind of spoilery stuff about what the characters are. I don't know if you read it.
I haven't. No, I've seen nothing about it.
So it talks about who the actors are playing and stuff. But the one thing that came across more clear that I can talk about that's pretty damn obvious is that Sarah Connor is back in it, Linda Hamilton, and kicking ass. Literally taking out Terminators, which sounds awesome. So, and people who've gone in, I think maybe with the lowest expectations, maybe because of the back of Genesis and all the other Terminators films have come out going, this could actually be really good. It's the director's the guy that did Deadpool.
Yeah.
So
he's got a bit of street cred.
He's got a bit of street cred, and Cameron's involved in actually not just sitting there making a statement like this is the best Terminator one since the second.
Yeah.
Let's not go through that one again, James. Thank you.
No, thank you, James.
And hopefully it's a positive step forwards. I was going to say, speaking of ass kickers though, John Wick, there was more of that shown. They talked about filming in the desert. I don't know if you saw this. I'd seen a previous story with Keanu Reeves talking about this, but the director also talked about it, that you've seen it in the trailer. If you've seen the trailer, there's a new trailer as well. He's walking like on a sand dune in the desert wearing a suit. That was Keanu's idea. He just had this idea, this picture in his head. It would be hilarious to see a guy. I
believe
in a
it would
suit
be him. Yeah,
walking in the desert. Apparently, it was really difficult to go film there, like getting weapons permits to get like prop weapons in the country because I think it's Morocco or something.
Yeah,
and filming on location. And they had this big spiel about like the thing that makes these films that they've really enjoyed is actually filming them on a location that feels tangible. So doing like actual travel around the world, shooting in New York for the New York stuff. Making an actual New York film is much different than, say, making in Vancouver and making it be New York.
Making it look like New York.
Yeah.
Or a Hollywood backlot.
But there was a new trailer. If you haven't seen it, I recommend going and seeing it. Unless you're just going to see it anyway, in which case don't bother seeing the trailer. Just wait till it comes out and go see it. Because I'm definitely on this buzz lately where if you don't see a trailer, don't bother. Because I don't think you need to. Because I'm trying to avoid the rest of the Avengers stuff. I've seen the trailers that come out. Like the first trailer, that was enough.
The most recent one I haven't seen.
Yeah, and I haven't seen the most recent one for that reason. You did want to say something else about Keanu Reeves, though.
Yeah. So there was Bill and Ted 3 has finally got a summer announcement for August 21st, 2020. Both Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter. Was it they posted to Instagram or Facebook?
I think it was all over
wherever,
it was like
everywhere.
Twitter, yeah, it was everywhere.
Everywhere you can watch a video online, I think they showed up, sort of both, saying word after each other, and they just announced it. And I think, did they announce it, or did it come out like a day later that William Sadler's going to be in it as well?
It was a couple of days later. I think on the Twitter thing it
that's
said
right,
it tagged him in the Twitter thing as his Twitter account.
That's right. So
said he's coming back.
That's quite exciting news as well. And, it's been a long time coming. I mean, it definitely seems like they're going to sort of play it to their age as well. And I think the early story details of it is that what the future had predicted for Bill and Ted hasn't really come to fruition. So they've actually got to pick up their game and make music to create world peace.
Yeah, well, I think they're playing on that idea that in the first movie they're told they have to ace their history result or the future's change. I think it's the same idea that they have to make this music now or it won't happen. And if it doesn't happen, the future won't be what it is supposed to be. Which is kind of a weird context. But the other cool thing which I saw is that discussion having Sadler about is about having to have... They're trying to get as many cast members related to the first two films back at wherever they can. Which is awesome because there's still a lot of them alive.
Nostalgic,
nostalgic and having the same actors play the same characters, which would be really cool. A lot of them much, much older.
yeah. Unfortunately, I think one of the best parts too, George Carlin would sadly be missed.
Yes, yeah. But I think they've got an idea of what they're going to do about that. But it's a shame, unfortunately.
We'll wait and see. Now, while we're on the subject of Keanu Reeves, there was a story come out where he was on a flight from San Francisco to Bakersfield, where it had to go down for an emergency. I think something was wrong with one of the engines.
This is just like a public plane, like it was just a regular flight.
Yeah, just a regular flight, and they had to stop in Burbank. And I don't know if many people knew he was on the plane at the time, but I think the story only came out because a guy shared a bus with Keanu Reeves, and everyone's like, oh, he's just like us. He's in the same situation.
He's always like this. Like you see photos of him like on the subway. There's a classic video of him online where he gives up his seat for this woman on this. I think it's on a bus or the subway.
Yeah, bus or subway.
He's just super chill and just goes and. It's so crazy, and then people go nuts about it because they're just like, oh, he's just like us. It's like, well, he always was just like us. Like, it's just whether or not some celebrities, they drive around in cars and get driven places and have private jets, and some of them decide that they're just going to travel like everyone else sometimes, and it's nice. Like this is the same person that you hear stories about him deferring money from, say, like The Matrix. I think it was the first one of the sequels, so that extra stuff could get done. And other stories like this. He knew nothing but kind words when he did his was it Man of Tai Chi film that he did? Was it that one or I can't remember. There's one of the movies that he was in, the Asian movies that he did, and
I vaguely remember that now.
There was just nothing but positive, really nice stories about him. So it makes sense. It sounds like him. But yeah, it's pretty funny seeing that. I didn't see I saw the headline. I didn't read the details. I saw a headline and a photo. He's like standing there. Posed photo with
one of the passengers. And
he seems pretty chill and happy.
It just goes to show that you don't need to be like a multi-millionaire, like living in your mansion in the Hollywood Hills in your fast car or whatever. Like you can be Joe Average, and just mix in with everybody else.
It's pretty funny.
You don't need like half a dozen security guards following you as well.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Like I don't. I don't even know how some people obviously do it. They have such a big image, or they're very well known to that point, and their personality kind of gives across this idea. I mean, and there's definitely crazy people out there that stalk celebrities too. So there's a risk with it, to be fair. Like when you're a famous person, like it's great that you can do this, but I'm sure that if someone knew where he was going or something,
they'd follow his daily routine.
Could be a bit weird. And even in that situation, like, yeah, sure, it seems like these guys are all really nice, but all of a sudden there could just be one weirdo in this group of passengers that just decides to, like, do something crazy.
That's all it takes.
Exactly.
It's one person.
And I don't mean to be a downer on it, but it's just the simple truth. Like, that's kind of the opposite side. But as far as I'm concerned, like, if he's willing to do it, like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. There was also a new Toy Story.
Oh yeah,
got brought out as well. The new trailer about a month or so ago. Did we talk about it in the last?
I don't think we did talk about it. I think it might have been just after we recorded,
That's
like a day or two afterwards. Well, because it's funny, because going back to CinemaCon, they showed the first 17 minutes of the movie as well, which starts with a flashback and explains. It's supposed to explain why Bo Peep disappeared.
Yeah, I read something about that. But
and then it catches up to where the end of the last Toy Story was, and sets up the story for the new one. And it all seems really positive. Everyone was like, definitely a Toy Story movie. Like, that's not a bad thing. Like, definitely a good sequel. So, I'd be very interested to see where it goes. I mean, I know you're a massive fan, so you'll be going as soon as you can when that comes out. There was some other news though. Like I didn't know about this, and you mentioned it, and I was like, I didn't think about this. So I'll let you explain it.
Yeah. So, was it after Toy Story 3? I think Don Rickles passed away. So I think there was a lot of people going, "Oh, Mr. Potato Head was one of our favourite characters. What are we going to do now? We're going to replace the actor like you did with Slinky."
Jim Varney,
yeah, Jim Varney was replaced by I can't remember his name. He's the farmer guy from Waterboy.
Oh yeah,
yeah, that guy. I can't remember his name right now. Yeah, that guy. But I think the director of this one, what's his name, Josh Cooley, has come out and said that his family asked Don Rickles' family asked Josh Cooley if there was any like extra footage from the previous Toy Story films that they'd recorded.
Extra audio.
Yeah, extra dialogue. And you know, of course, being an animated film, there's probably hours upon hours of stuff.
The thing that people forget as well is that not only is that, but they also like did versions of the film that then got scrapped, and sometimes some of the voice work had been done. So there's like actual and like short films as well that they all did over the time. So
like
there's
video games and
games and all that sort of stuff. There's probably a lot of unused materials for sure. So I can imagine that there's. That's interesting though, because like when they'd have to keep this in mind when they're crafting the story, how much they want that character in, and then they have to think about what they've got and how they can make that work. Bit of backwards engineering, but that's cool. Like
it's a good way, especially since Don Rickles' family has gone to the director and gone, "Hey, what can you do?
Yeah, can you do this?
Yeah, can you do this?
We'll give you all permission in the world to do it."
And he's pretty much gone, "Yeah, all right, well." We can, yeah.
That's pretty
We've
awesome.
got hours of footage. And I mean, I'm stoked. I mean, I'm a big Don Rickles fan. Like, I've watched his stuff on YouTube. I won't say years, but I've seen a lot of his stuff on YouTube, and he's bloody hilarious if you haven't seen it. And I mean, just away from Toy Story, like I've seen him on late night talk shows as well, and he's one of those guys you'd like to be friends with.
Well, see, as I said, I hadn't even heard about this. I mean, I knew about Don Rickles' death after the third film, but I didn't think about this. You know, I knew about it. Jim Varney's demise was so early into the franchise, essentially, that it was a big deal. And
so he only did 1 and 2.
Yeah, and it wasn't even long after 2 either. Like
Blake Clark, that's who replaced him.
Yes, yep, that's the one. Good memory.
Yeah, just popped in.
I hate when that happens. You can't think of it, and then all of a sudden you're in the middle of talking, and bleh, there it is. But yeah, it's crazy. It causes so much controversy, you know, like when people were like, "Oh, you can't recast," and you know, but sometimes you have to because you can't. Like, it's great in this case because there was so much content that they were able to make it work. But obviously, if it had been such early, like it was with Varney, kind of
it's a little bit harder.
It's harder to do. So it's kind of. You have to find someone who sounds close enough alike, but not exactly enough so that people don't get upset either way. You know, it's a very hard thing to do, and I'm sure that would be the same. Would have been the same problem had they not had enough footage anyway. And then it's a case of whether you even keep the character in. So this is kind of more great because they get to keep the character in, gets to be the original voice, and everyone's happy.
Yeah, and no doubt, like most movies where a member of the cast passes away, or you know, a crew or something, it'll be a dedication to Rickles as well.
No doubt at all.
So it'll be good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. I need to rewatch. So you rewatch the other three. I need to rewatch them at some point.
Yeah, I think the only thing I'm not looking forward to is that I think Tim Allen's come out and said that this is the saddest one yet.
Yeah, I think
now, I cried at the end of Toy Story 3, so I'm probably going to show up to this with a box of tissues, because, yes, I'm a crybaby, I'll admit it. Laugh at me if you will. I don't care.
I'm only laughing because you're saying that you're a crybaby and you admit it. Speaking of crybabies, let's move sideways.
Johnny Depp movie? No.
No, not like that movie. And not Johnny Depp either.
No.
There's been a bit of controversy, and I'll lead into this because obviously another thing at CinemaCon was some more Hobbs and Shaw footage, and they had Dwayne Johnson and Jason Statham involved, and crybabies like Vin Diesel. Sorry, no, they didn't have Vin Diesel. Sorry.
Snap. Shots fired.
Vin Diesel. Oh, this is another thing I didn't put on this. We had a list today, and Vin Diesel, Avatar, like he came on.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
I forgot about
this.
this.
See it this morning or something.
I just saw this. We were still thinking about stuff while I'm doing this. I didn't even write that down. But there's more Hobbs and Shaw footage. It looks about as ridiculous as I'm expecting it to be.
Yeah.
No doubt it'll make a lot of money, and it'll either be really good or really, really bad. It's the Fast and Furious franchise, what do you expect? But you saw something on the internet as well, going back to another thing that you saw that I didn't see, which had to do with Dwayne Johnson. And
of course, yes.
Yeah, he's looking puzzled at me like, what are you talking about?
No,
like,
I've just remembered.
You just rememred.
There's so much that on this list I've just completely forgot. Yeah, so there was US military had a new tank come out, and on the the turret,
the cannon.
Sorry, thank you. I was trying to think, what do you call that cannon?
What do you call the cannon thing?
Yeah, it's been one of those days. Yeah. So on the end of the cannon, they've named it Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and it's the name of the tank. And he I think someone tweeted him a photo of it, and he supported back. Like, he retweeted and then, gave his support, of course.
He would have done that.
Most big people do,
put it on Instagram and all those other things he does, yes.
And I think a lot of people have just sort of shot back and gone, oh, he's like this big-time movie star and or wrestler, depending on what way you want to look at it. And he's, like, supporting war and all that. But
war and weapons,
yeah, war and weapons. But I kind of see, like, I get that, but he's kind of not at the same time. He's thanking them for their service.
He's thanking them for their service because they do something for their country. That's fine. It's also kind of, it's I'm sure it's like a nice platitude. It's nice to have your name put on something, regardless of what it is. Sometimes, I mean, I say that with a jest. Like if it had been a giant dildo with like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson on it, maybe depending on what it was being used for, maybe not so much. But
if it was a comedy prop,
he'd probably be right.
If it's an actual,
let's not go down this. Let's not go down this path. But but you know what I mean. Like if someone's nice enough to put something on something that matters to them, and you're okay with it, then that's what people need to think about. It's like, it doesn't. It's a tough one. Like I can get why people might get upset, but you've also got to say that like, what's he going to do? Like his other response is no response, because they're not going to change the name because he didn't respond, but they would change the name if he said I'm not. And do you know what? Do you think? I think that would be nice enough that they would change the name if he had an offence to it,
or if he had an issue with it.
Any issue with it, But the thing is, it wouldn't stop the tank from existing.
No,
they would just have someone else's name on it.
Yeah,
this is the silliest thing about it. Like I don't like warfare. I don't like tanks. My dad loves tanks. I don't like tanks. I have no interest in military weapons and warfare. But it exists. It's something that's in our reality. Like that's what we have is weapons, and the U.S. Army spends so much money on military to besiege a celebrity over the basis of their name being put on a tank is to miss the point. You should be pointing your direction at the military itself if you have issues with it, not at the celebrity who's flattered at the fact someone put his name on a tank.
It's just a big compliment. Accept it. Move on.
Yeah, it's not a big deal. But the thing was that people were like, oh, I'm unfollowing you and not going to your movies and stuff like this. Well, you've seen what these sorts of boycotts do. Pretty much nothing. So, it's probably a big lot of nothing, really.
Yeah, it's just insane.
It's just crazy what people will actually threaten to do, which means absolutely nothing at all. Like, it's just silly. Yeah. The last thing I wanted to talk about, which was at Comic-Con, I am a big fan.
CinemaCon.
Oh, CinemaCon. Why do I keep saying Comic-Con? I'm going to say that again.
They're too similar.
At least I'm not saying, was it Kevin Smith's Chronic Con?
Yeah.
At CinemaCon, my God, I gotta stop saying Comic-Con. Is Ryan Johnson's latest film. Now, have been... Say what you will about Last Jedi, I liked it.
I enjoyed it.
You enjoyed it as well.
I'm a big Star Wars fan. I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it. Just fine, but lots of people didn't. But I've always enjoyed most of his, like pretty much all his films I've enjoyed. Even like his weakest film was definitely The Brothers Bloom, and even that's good. Like to me, I loved Brick. I saw Brick in 2005 when it first came out, and I thought, wow, what a film. And so I've kept an eye on his career, and then he went off and did some Breaking Bad episodes, and but this film just sounds crazy. Like it's getting amazing buzz, and I'm really looking forward to it. But I kind of want to talk about it, but then what I read, I don't really want to talk about it because it sounds like it'll ruin it. You just need to know it sounds like it sounds like one of his movies. It's got an amazing cast in it. It just sounds nuts. Like, and we shouldn't expect anything less, really. That's the thing. So I just wanted to leave on that because I think that's, as far as the I was about to say Comic-Con again, the CinemaCon, because you're looking at me like that, like, don't say it again, don't say it again. But the CinemaCon experience basically comes down to the fact that you just get a bunch of journalists and a bunch of like movie executives and company executives patting themselves on the back about how awesome the film industry is. But then you do get these opportunities to hear about these movies, and it's stuff that's going to come out. And then most of these movies are all coming out the next year. Like there's literally the slate for the next 12 months or so, give or take. So, and pretty much as we talk, most of these things we talk about do come out this year. I want to move on from the con mostly, but one other thing that was shown, and it'll allow us to segue into all the other news, because I think that's about time we moved on. Yeah, was also to go back to like the Disney stuff. That was the Avengers. So they showed some more footage, which the latest teaser trailer.
There was a minute's worth of teaser trailer, but at CinemaCon for the press, I think they showed 2 scenes from the movie.
I'm just going to divert away from this because I forgot this just reminded me as well. Just one little sideways step. They showed one shot from Star Wars, from the new Star Wars. One shot. It was.
I didn't even know.
Yeah, I just forgot about this. I just popped in my head, and as I was thinking about this, like they showed 1 minute of that. They showed one shot. It was literally the 4 main characters in the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon. That is it. It's like what a spoiler. It's like we can't show.
Was it like a screenshot or?
I think it was a scene. It was like 10 seconds. I don't even know if it had dialogue.
So it's an actual scene.
It was in a reel, and I don't know if it even had dialogue. But I saw the title because it was jokingly saying, don't read this, it might have spoilers. These characters in a cockpit of the Millennium Falcon, and that's all you see. Like, it was like, it was obviously them taking the piss. Yeah. But yeah, you were 1 minute comment reminded me. But anyway, yeah, so the Avengers, you were saying, 1 minute of footage.
Yeah, so there was the last trailer released of like 1 minute of footage. And then at CinemaCon, they had like 2 scenes were shown to the press. Now, looking at the 1 minute that was released, they've said that all the previous trailers are like the first 15 to 20 minutes of the film.
I could believe that.
Yeah, looking at this, I don't know. I'm kind of mixed about this 1 minute because it looks as though
there's bits
from other parts of the movie.
If this is the sort of stuff that they're going to put out,
otherwise it's going to be too much. And
well, I was going to say, if this is the stuff that they're going to put out at the con, then obviously they probably want to show a little bit more and a bit more hype. But I don't know. It feels very odd. I mean, I always take that sort of comments for the pinch of salt, Yeah. Because you can never tell. They say it's going to be 37 minutes, so you don't feel like you're going to expectations or anything like that. And then when you turn out to the movie, it's not. It's not that at all. But it's also like they had scenes in the trailers for Infinity War that weren't even in there,
yeah.
Film.
Yeah.
And then later came out saying we specifically staged some of those because obviously we shot actors in front of green screen. We could just composite them together, running in a group. It's a very easy thing to do.
I definitely think that's possibly what's happened here as well. There's probably a lot of compositing and
trickery as well. Well, there was discussion about that group shot of them walking on the wide shot and how there was gaps and
the original missing. With like the silhouettes.
Yeah, and then the next time they had a trailer, there was definitely characters in there that weren't in that group. Yeah, so we knew that was the truth, and there probably could still be more. There's a very good. I'm not going to say it because it could be a potential spoiler if it's true. But there's one particular character that could easily have been there that would change things a little bit, and they've been talking about that. So I'll be very interested to see. I mean, we should probably talk about the whole marketing campaign that's going on. We're less than a month away, and they put out a bunch of new posters, character posters, one for every character that was alive and
that survived the snap.
It survived the snap, and the ones who didn't. Yeah. So they were black and white, and the ones that survived were in colour. But it confirmed a couple of things in the movie that we didn't see, which was interesting. Like Shuri's death, that was one of them because she's in black and white, and we hadn't seen her disappear. She just vanished.
It was an off-screen
disappearance. But because the last we saw her, she was fighting off some of the people in the
Yes,
fight.
trying to save Vision.
Yeah, and I mean, didn't see her again.
Sorry, just to diverge quickly, I find that interesting because I think I can't seem to find any trace of it now, but I'm almost certain that I read something that the actor that plays Shuri had come out and said that, oh no, she survived, so maybe that was a red herring as well.
Maybe she didn't know.
Or she probably didn't know.
Maybe she just assumed that. Who knows? It could have been a mistake.
So I think a lot of people were definitely shocked by that one.
I think so. Yeah, people have been trying to read a lot into everything. This is the problem, and I think this is the thing. So I mean, it's like we didn't talk about this, but with Captain Marvel, like Samuel L. Jackson coming out and lying about her ability to time travel, just because he thought it was hilarious or something to say. Like people just whine out for the sake of it at this point, because what else? Like there's. The people want spoilers and they want stuff, and then
scrambling for every crumb of information.
So it is pretty crazy. The ticket sales for the movie have been through the roof as well. I've been reading so many news stories.
It's been on sale, what, 3 days?
Yeah, well, they said they beat the previous record, which was Star Wars, I think, within 6 hours. So it was the first day sales, but in less than 6 hours, and it was causing problems on like all the US ticketing websites. They crashed or were having problems. And they were saying it would have been even higher if it hadn't been that. And you were saying earlier on, before we started recording, talking about the fact that people are selling tickets on eBay.
Yeah, they're like scalping tickets on like eBay or Craigslist, and they're going for like $5,000 American.
It's just crazy. You just wait. It's not. You see it later on the week. It's not. We've booked tickets. I was going to do this. We've booked tickets. We're going to go see it on the 25th because it comes out here. This is quite surprising to me. So in the States, it comes out on the 26th. Here it comes out on the 24th.
Yeah.
But sometimes when we get movies like we did with Captain Marvel, they come out on the evening, like post 6 o'clock on the night before. And the reason why we get the ones always around this time of year early compared to America is because we have a public holiday, or at least half a public holiday, on the 25th of Anzac Day. So they tend to tap into that, knowing that people might be free to go see the movies. So they always tend to release it on that day. But occasionally, as I said, the evening before. But this time it's completely different. They're releasing it. The first screen is like 10 o'clock in the morning on the 24th, on the Wednesday.
That's insane.
So, and I don't know if that's because they know that they can get away with it, they were going to screen it, it's more money. I don't know why, but that's never happened before. No. It's never that early.
There's always some sort of an embargo on it.
Yeah, it's 6 o'clock or the 25th for us. And so the fact that they're screening it from 10 a.m. on the 24th means in theory, if you go to that early screening, you're seeing it 2 days before it even comes out in the States.
Yeah.
Because even when we go see it on the 25th, it still won't be out in the States for another day and a half.
So if you've got friends in the States, spoilers! Ring them up and go, oh, hey look out for this bit.
Did you go see Endgame? Oh, no, I haven't seen it. It's not out here. Oh, well, blah, blah, blah. Like,
such and such dies. Or,
Thanks, loudmouth.
And go ruin it for your American friends.
Thanks, buddy.
Oh, we could do that for our friend Skip. We'd ruin it for him.
Send a message to Canada. Hey, have you gone to see Endgame yet, Skip? Oh, no. Oh, you haven't? Oh, well, you should watch out for this and that. And no, we wouldn't do that. It's a really horrible thing to do. But there's a lot of hype around this.
Absolutely. I mean, I think we even talked about it a few episodes ago that they don't even need to release trailers or posters. I think people will still go to it anyway.
Yeah, well, this is kind of where I'm going with this whole thing. Like, I was having this conversation with someone at my work, and it's like, I asked them, because I said to them, did you see the Joker trailer? And they said, I don't really need to see the trailer, because I know if I'm going to go see it, I'm going to go see it, right? And I said, and they said, if I see the trailer when I go see other movies, fine. That's just what it is. It's what it is. That's what they're there for. But I don't go out of my way to see them. And I said, I'm like that with a lot of stuff. I don't bother going out and seeing a lot of the trailers. I mean, I probably watch more now because we've been doing this. Yeah. But in general, I wouldn't go out of my way to see them. But for example, the Joker trailer, I was very interested in seeing what the take on it was going to be like, because it's going to give you an understanding if you're even excited about it. Personally, I enjoyed it. There's heaps of people who didn't. Everyone's got different tastes, and it'll come down to the box office and all the openings and all that sort of stuff on all these things. But I think it's pretty damn obvious, especially in this case, regardless of how this movie actually ends up being, its launch is going to be probably one of the biggest film experiences since The Force Awakens, probably, which was the last huge one that I can remember. Even like Infinity War was huge, but it wasn't as big as...
Yeah, I think this is much
made more
more
money
anticipated
in the long run, but it only just. And... but it was Force Awakens was so anticipated. It was like the first Star Wars film, blah, blah, blah.
Like, what, almost, not even 20 years.
Yeah,
almost.
exactly. So we talked about this last time, and I just wanted to bring this up because it's kind of related to it. That we were trying to work out how long all the Marvel films. There's 22 films with Endgame. They just released the runtime. Now AMC and Alamo Drafthouse in America are doing a marathon. Now this is insane. Like I do the movie marathon here, and that's 24 hours of actual movies. Sometimes a little bit over, and you're awake kind of maybe 30 odd hours, right? They're going to do a marathon of all 22 films, starting from Iron Man right through to Avengers Endgame. 59 hours, 7 minutes.
It's insane. Get there early.
Yeah.
Line up early, take a sleeping bag and a pillow.
Yeah. Figure out which movies you can sleep through. I suggest Thor 2. What else would we suggest? That's an early one.
Yeah.
The later ones get harder. Maybe Ant-Man. I know I love Ant-Man, but you could probably...
Yeah, probably Ant-Man.
But I don't know how you could go to that for 59 hours and by the time you're actually there for the movie you haven't seen yet, be lucid enough to actually enjoy it. I would just be so exhausted.
You'd be shattered.
I couldn't do that.
So, I think the most I've done stayed awake is like at least, what was it, about 36 hours straight?
I think I've done 42.
Yeah.
When I was young too. I couldn't do that now.
There's no way I could either. I mean, I stay up quite late and for quite long periods of time, but there's no way I could do 56 hours, 59 hours. Sorry.
We've instead decided that we'll watch all the Marvel movies leading up to it, except for Captain Marvel because it's still in cinemas, and we'd have to go see it again, which we could still in theory do. But we'll probably run out of time. Or we're both working. Your girlfriend Anne is working as well, so and she wants to come watch them all as well, and it's like. We'd run out of
find the time.
Yeah, or time where we're all free at the same time because you work nights, I work nights sometimes, or days, or mornings, and she works same as well.
It's just all over the place.
So we decided instead we'll take this. We had basically a month. We can watch all of them. So far we've seen Iron Man, The Incredible Hulk, and Iron Man 2, and we'll continue on from there. And by the time we get to the 24th, we should have seen. All of them.
Hopefully all of them,
except for Captain Marvel again. Maybe Captain Marvel if we have the time, but probably...
If we've got the time.
Probably won't get the chance. So we'll see 20 out of the 20, which it helps that I've got them all, so it's kind of easy to get access to them. But for that alone, I could sit and watch a few of them in a run and actually still be alert. If I had a whole day where all three of us were available and we could sit down, I would literally watch
6 or 7 of them.
Possibly, easily, depending on the lengths. I could sit there for an entire day, have breaks for dinner and lunch and all that sort of stuff. Not a problem to eat snacks and whatnot. It would be fine. But yeah, definitely not 60 hours of it. That's
just torture.
It's just insane, it's just crazy. Speaking of Captain Marvel, I'll just move sideways because we talked last time as well about we were talking about Captain Marvel, but obviously went and saw it. We talked about the Stan Lee cameo, which I loved. I thought was brilliant. So you saw something else that Kevin Smith has done in relation to this, because obviously it related to him and his films and the fact that he loves comics and reference to him.
And he references comics
in
all of his movies, So if you haven't seen Captain Marvel yet, we did talk about it in the last episode where Stan Lee's on the subway train reading the script for Mallrats, which was coming out that year.
95.
Yeah, 95. And then I think because of what had happened, that Marvel had approached Kevin Smith saying, have you got any old footage of... old audio of Stan Lee saying his lines, because he was at that stage, he was too old to get it to how they wanted. And he's like, yeah, sure, I'll do whatever you need. So, and he did. And then I think probably because of that, he included an Easter egg of Brody in his reboot. Yeah,
Secret Stash. Sorry, Ted. Jane Silent Bob reboot.
Yeah, Jane Silent
but
Bob.
It's Brody's Secret Stash. The comic book show. Yeah,
and he's looking at a copy of Captain Marvel, which is just a nice little Easter egg inside an Easter egg inside another Easter egg.
There's also together, the thing that I'd seen previous to this. I didn't obviously see this at all, but I then saw it after you'd mentioned it to me. I saw a story about it. But I'd seen previously he'd shown a picture of a jersey of Stan's that's in a glass case as well.
That's right. I've seen that too. Yeah.
With photos that they took as part of a photo shoot that was related to something he did with Stan years ago. So his actual photos of Stan.
Wasn't it from Mallrats? Was it?
No, the photos aren't from Mallrats. It's from some other event he did with Stan. but the jersey isn't from Mallrats. It says it was worn at some comic event, I think, in 2000 something. So it's not even from Mallrats. But it's but obviously he was a good friend with Stan for a long time, ever since Mallrats. Like he would constantly get him in touch. He would come and do cameos in some of his movies. Like he still did other cameos for him. Yeah. And he did a lot of stuff. I've got a DVD about Stan Lee and Marvel, basically the history of Marvel, that Kevin Smith is a host on. Does a Q&A with him, and he did a lot of these things with him a lot. So it obviously means a lot to him in general. Like you realize why he was so emotional that we were talking about last time. I was going to say, I hadn't written this down, but speaking of Stan Lee, I assume you also saw the fact they were saying that the Stan Lee cameo that's going to be in Endgame is probably going to be the last one.
I had seen that, yes. Because I think there was unconfirmed reports of whether he'd filmed something for Far From Home, the Spider-Man sequel.
Which might still happen. Yeah. It didn't. The confirmation, when I saw the news stories, was it's probably going to be the last one, and even the quote didn't confirm that 100%.
Yeah.
I think it may come down to what they shot and how it works in the final edit and all that, the usual stuff that happens with these sorts of things, But yeah, it's obviously a huge change. We talked a little bit last time about it happening, and it was just about to happen. Was it the 20th? I think it was the merger between Fox and Disney, which we're referring to as Foxney. It's finally happened, obviously.
Yep.
Part of that CinemaCon thing as well was them confirming that was actually the case, talking about some of the slate of the X-Men films that still come out, like Dark Phoenix. They reconfirmed the New Mutants, which didn't give a date, but everyone assumes it's still going to be August. Obviously, their website changed on the day and had all these Fox properties added. Deadpool was on there, Bart Simpson was on there, and so it was mixture of stuff that was there with Mickey Mouse and Frozen, and so and Pixar, it was Toy Story and other Pixar films on there. So it's going to be interesting to see, because I was reminded today just how huge this is. Between all the releases in that studio, Disney itself made up almost a third of the box office last year, and Fox made up I think almost another 20%.
Yeah.
So that's almost half the domestic gross in America last year was those two companies, and now they're one company. And they've got a slate this year that was already pre-planned. Disney's not changing their slate. Fox already has their slate planned, and they're not really probably going to change too much of it.
No.
So this year is still going to be huge for essentially both companies, even though they're now technically one company. So this will be, by the end of this year, it's going to be insane how especially with movies like another Avengers, another Star Wars, the stuff that's going to be another, these movies that are coming out this year that they've got, let alone anything that's still on Fox's radar for this year as well.
Yeah. They're just going to be like Scrooge McDuck, just jumping into a vault of gold coins and swimming in it.
But it's come with a loss of jobs, like certain departments. Fox 2000 is closing down at the end of this year. Certain distributions that double up, so they don't need certain marketing and distribution arms anymore because they can do it through what they've already got. So for every positive, there's definitely negatives. Obviously, there's a lot of concern about the amount of, this gives a lot of power and control to Disney. They've got 60% of Hulu. Certain big films that are tentpole plans that are expected to be massive will continue to be there. They've got franchises that they can re-franchise, do new stuff with theme parks, all this sort of stuff, and market the hell out of. But Disney's also, as we've talked about previously with Star Wars, are quite protective about their IP. We were talking about with Star Wars, George Lucas would let fans make things because for him it just sold more stuff.
Yeah.
But Disney's not like that.
Disney,
And so these sorts of things will get more restrictive. It'd also be very interesting to see how something we talked about Deadpool a little bit last time, but how meta Deadpool can be in some respects. Because the reviews that came out for Dumbo in the last couple of weeks have talked about how it's a little bit on the nose about a big corporate company coming in and buying up a small little...
Yeah.
Like in this case, it's a giant entertainment circus venue, sideshow circus thing, and it's buying up this small tiny circus, and they were like, there's a little bit of a meta story going on here with Disney and Fox right now.
Disney buying Fox.
How did this get through the executives at Disney? Do they not see this? But that's true. And could how much they're going to let Ryan Reynolds make fun of that? The day that they joined, he posted up some picture on Instagram and Facebook and stuff. It was pretty funny. It was him in a bus with 2019 on the two buses, and him with Mickey Mouse ears saying,
typical Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds. But it'd be very interesting to see how how much Fox as an entity continues to even
Still
exist
exists,
after this year. As you know, X-Men is probably going to become part of the MCU in 2021 onwards, somewhere around there, they reckon. Will they let the Marvel Universe continue to redevelop some of the ideas, bring in things that haven't managed to work? I can't see how they would make like the Fantastic Four work in the MCU right now. It doesn't. You've started to look at this global thing. And it has to be an event, and why would you start doing space exploration and have these things happen if there's already people going to space? You know what I mean? Like this kind of is a bit.
Well, see, here's the thing. Like we've already done 3 phases. We're about to end the 3rd phase. And there's a lot of people saying that if we're going into the 4th phase, why not make it fantastic? Hence, Fantastic phase. What is it? Fantastic Phase 4. Yeah, Fantastic Phase 4.
I can see that as a joke, right?
Yeah,
but
as a joke,
that doesn't solve the problem.
No, I know, but if they wanted, they could potentially do a redo of Rise of the Silver Surfer and bring in Galactus, and that's when they need everybody. So they need like Fantastic Four, the Avengers, the Guardians, and all that. That is the theory
that where this is going post Thanos, and it makes sense. And so that would make sense. And they probably have a roadmap. Who knows? I'm sure they do. Like they always say they were ahead on the plans, and no doubt will. And obviously, one of the big movements in that out where you're going with this universe essentially out there is Guardians of the Galaxy, because that was really our push for the space angle. The bit of news that came out right after we recorded the last podcast was bloody amazing. James Gunn's coming back.
Yeah.
But
it just surprised everyone.
But he's still doing Suicide Squad for DC. Which is just crazy. Like so what happened is he basically unintentionally, through attempted manipulation of his job, fell upwards. He went from a filmmaker who was doing very well, that was well respected by his cast and probably his crew.
Cast and crew, yeah.
And talked about his redemption as a person and how he has grown. In these statements after these right wing people came out and tried to slander him essentially for jokes he made over a decade ago, or up to a decade ago, and so he is fired, and then he gets a new job working for DC and Warner Brothers. So he gets that movie, and then Disney hire him back anyway.
Disney we don't like that too much. Maybe we should bring him back.
Well, they obviously liked the script, and after listening to people, and obviously the talks now that this has been known for months, like they made this decision months ago, and it was only just recently
come out public,
But yeah, if anything, now should James Gunn be thanking those people? Has made his career better. Like, how does this work?
Yeah, well, there was definitely a lot of public outcry when he was initially fired. I mean, even the cast, like the main cast, they all signed like an open letter saying that they don't. How do I word this? They don't approve of what he said when he was younger, but they all can tell that he's grown as a person and he's no longer that person.
Yes,
and
of course.
Disappointed at the whole thing too.
And the thing was that I saw also statements. I think it was his brother that wrote a statement as well, saying,
Sean.
The irony was that the story essentially that he'd been putting forth in the Guardians was about a bunch of people who were quite self-involved and kind of they had their own thoughts about the universe, eventually changing their ways and coming together and becoming better people, and that's essentially exactly what James Gunn was. Like, how do you not miss? Is like missing the point of the movie that he's just made is so relevant to this entire situation.
It's not just a redemption film for the characters in the movie; it's a redemption film for James Gunn himself.
Yeah, exactly. And that's crazy to say that, because James Gunn has made some film. I'm going to go off the mic a little bit. James Gunn has made some films that I really enjoyed before I even saw that. Super is such a messed up film. Have you seen that? No, we should talk about this. We need to put that on.
Is it the Rainn Wilson, Ellen Page one?
Yes. Yeah. It is messed up, that movie, but it is good messed up. It is such a funny movie, and it's pretty dark, but it's very James Gunn.
Yeah.
And I watched the Balco Experiment, and it's not that original, but it's still got done with its a unique style and panache. He didn't direct it; he just wrote it and produced it, but it's definitely got his fingerprints on it. And even outside that, like I've talked about this before. He's written video. He did the story for Lollipop Chainsaw, and he does stuff for Troma and stuff. And they're all. He's obviously got a very quirky, interesting sense of humor, and if he's growing but still kept that sensibility, which is obviously very clear in the Guardians films, then he's been on that right path. So I'm really when I heard that news, I was so excited, because I think they finally thought sensibly about this. Like, they're one of the most unique voices in the entire Marvel movies, and they were that quick to get rid of him without actually thinking about it.
It was such a knee-jerk reaction.
Yeah. It was so crazy. So it was really good news.
Yeah.
On the side of MCU Guardians, there was a piece of news that I didn't see either, and you saw, which had to do with an idea that may be in the third film. So I'll let you, since you saw it, you can talk about it, and we'll talk some more.
So there was an idea, I don't know how true or made up it is, but there was an idea where Mark Hamill could potentially be in Guardians 3 as Rocket's creator. Now, if you don't know much of the story of behind Rocket Raccoon, or Space Rabbit as Thor likes to call him, he's a raccoon, obviously, who gets experimented on, and he's got like cybernetic internals, like implants and all that, to make him walk upright and to talk and all that. And for the idea of Mark Hamill to play as creator, I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it.
No, it seems to make sense to me. Hamill just brings a certain panache.
He's already under Disney with Star Wars, so what difference will it make?
No, and he knows James Gunn, which helps.
Yeah.
I think he's... Am I right? I remember seeing some story about the fact they live near each other or neighbor. They're legitimately like
yeah,
neighbors.
I think I have seen that too, yeah.
But I could totally see that. I sent this to you. I'm just going to go sideways a little bit with Mark Hamill film, because I saw this post that Mark Hamill put up, and I had to send it to you because I thought it was hilarious. I saw it, someone linked me it, and then I sent it to you. And Mark Hamill had this tweet forwarded, like sent to him and pinned, tagged in with him, and it was a guy in a parade that looked like the splitting image of him in The Last Jedi, like literally. And his statement was like, "Wow, that guy looks more like me than me."
Yeah. Which, I mean, if you put the two side by side, I mean, I'd probably have difficulty telling who's who.
Yeah, it was insane. I mean, maybe it was just the angle, and it was the light, and it was perfect timing with the photo when they took the freeze. But like, obviously, it did have a very striking resemblance. It's a shame that they've finished the 3 current Star Wars movies, because it would have been a perfect stand-in.
Yeah.
Perfect double for him.
I mean, if they wanted to have like Force Ghost clones or something, something real weird, they could use Hamill, and then they could use this guy.
It was pretty crazy. I was talking about this. It reminded me of there's this Australian cosplay model woman that looked like Margot Robbie. Of course, and she was dressed up as Harley Quinn. And honestly, you've seen that photo to someone, and they'll be like, "What is Margot Robbie doing in the Harley Quinn outfit? Like, she's just like standing by a random fence by a dock. Like, what's that about? Like." Was that on set?
She's doing like press or something.
Yeah, it was so. She's uncanny how much that woman looks like her, and again the same with her. She could easily be, and maybe they did hire her. Who knows? She's working on the Birds of Prey or something. Yeah. And other Mark Hamill news though, the big thing that shocked everyone was they had was it WonderCon? So another
WonderCon,
WonderCon. There was probably more news.
Con.
With Mark Hamill, which nobody saw coming. No. Now, a few months ago, they released a trailer for the new Child's Play, and it didn't exactly light up the internet. No. I have to admit,
people were pleased with it.
It looked okay, I guess, but very modern. And but the thing that's now gotten people quite buzzy about it is they announced that Hamill will be the voice of Chucky.
Yeah.
Or he is at first Buddy.
Yeah.
Because they're all called Buddy. And then obviously he becomes Chucky.
Yeah. Or Charles, whatever his name is.
Well, this is the thing. Like, it looks like the take is in it. Like, the way I'm gauging it now, when I look back at the trailer and the original promotional material, I didn't get this at the time, but they talk about like AI and stuff. Yeah. So I feel like it's developed a self-awareness. It's not like this voodoo curse thing that was in the original movie. It is literally something that's got a
robot taken over sort of thing.
Yeah, and created its own malevolence, I guess. Who knows? They might be wrong. There might be something else to it. But at this point, I think they're trying to. It's almost in the same way. It's so unrealistic, but it's more based in reality, in theory, than like say a voodoo curse and body transfer, and how the rest of the original Child's Play franchise played out. Although they're still, as we talked about, they're still making a TV series based on the original version with Brad Dourif. So
who knows? And one thing I'd completely forgotten too is that I saw on Facebook that a lot of people were kind of like, Mark Hamill, we prefer Brad Dourif. But it was one thing I'd forgotten that I'd seen. Robot Chicken, Mark Hamill played Chucky in an episode of that as a skit.
That's funny.
So I suppose if you want to get an idea or gauge an idea of what Hamill could be like as Chucky, you could just
I didn't remember this
find
at
that
all.
skit. No, neither did I, until like I'd come across it on Facebook, and like I think Adult Swim or someone had posted it.
Yeah, it was not the first time that Mark Hamill played Chucky.
Yeah. If you want to know how Chucky would sound as Mark Hamill, I mean, just try search for that clip.
Thanks, Seth Green. That's your doing there.
Yeah.
You and Matt Senrich. I think we'll just move on because there's just a whole bunch of other little things, and we'll just talk about some of these briefly. couple other movie trailers that dropped. There's a Dora the Explorer trailer. I didn't see this. I mean, I saw the poster. I didn't watch the trailer. What it looked like, because you probably watched it. I didn't.
Yeah, unfortunately, I did watch it. I don't know why. I never watched Dora as a kid. I think I was past that age.
I think you probably
bracket. So
yeah, true.
I don't even know what made me watch it, but it kind of looks like it may be all right. But for like a kids film though,
what's the gist? Like, it has to be a gist. What's the gist?
Her parents go away because they're all explorers.
Yes, I know this part. This is the bit I do know about Dora the Explorer.
Yeah, it's in the name.
Yes.
If you couldn't figure that out, duh.
I know she has a monkey. That's the only other thing.
Yeah, she's got a monkey as well, Boots, and she meets her cousin, and her parents go off to go search for like some lost treasure of, I don't know, somewhere in like the rainforest somewhere.
So it's a bit like the Wild Thornberrys.
Yeah, in a way.
Yeah. Okay.
Except the kids don't go with the adults.
Yeah. So are they going to send the kids away, or the kid away? In this case?
I think she goes to like boarding school in the States with her cousin. Yeah.
Some family members.
And then,
this sounds so far so cliche. Yep.
Yeah. And then I think they lose contact or something, and then of course, being an explorer that she probably is, she goes and searching for them with her cousin.
Okay.
And then, it kind of just seems
so like it's a generic adventure film.
Yeah, generic adventure film, probably for kids. It's probably, minor violence and
young adults,
probably scary scenes, I'd imagine. Yeah,
you got to think as well. Like they're at this point in the market for kids that probably did grow up in Dora the Explorer. It's probably the right age group. They're kind of like teenagers, early teenagers now. So they want something that's teenage friendly, and they're also still maybe younger-ish kids that know Dora the Explorer can kind of still enjoy, but not too young.
Yeah.
That's weird. It's kind of that's a weird striking balance. I can't say that I will probably go see that.
No, I'll probably give it a miss as well.
Considering I haven't even gone and watched the trailer, but I did see it was out. So
yeah.
The other trailer, which I was looking forward to. So I read the article about a week beforehand, and the trailer was for the Jarmusch new zombie film, and I'm like, zombie film from Jim Jarmusch? What? Like. What? and then they were like, it's an amazing cast and you won't believe it and blah blah. I was like,
quite an ensemble too.
It is an ensemble. It's crazy how many people in that movie. Anyway, so the trailer dropped, and immediately like, did you see the trailer, bro? I'm like, no, I haven't seen it yet, but I did know it was out. I go and watch it like straight away, and I'm like, oh my god, this looks amazing.
Yeah.
Bill Murray's 2 for 2 for zombie films this year. That's definitely one of the cases.
It's 3 for 3 overall.
3 for 3 overall, yeah. Unless there's another zombie thing I don't know about. But it's just so lackadaisical. Like, they're just so matter of fact and just so like. You were talking about like, what was it? Creeps, is it, or what's it?
Oh,
Ghouls.
The way Adam Driver delivers ghouls.
Yeah.
Like the internet's just. They're not blowing up badly over it. They just.
I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, they just think it's funny the way he delivers it.
You know, ghouls.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is pretty funny. And look, it is so like, yeah. What is it? Was that whole scene as well that made me laugh was the bit with the baseball. He's like, he asked him, you played some baseball, right? And he's just so like, yeah, I got to whatever it was. Like, he's just like, yeah, whatever.
Like minor leagues or something.
Yeah. They're just like, about everything. It's like, oh, there's zombies.
I think you definitely hit it on the head. Like, it's a Fargo movie with zombies.
Yeah, it feels like
everyone's just very tame, and they're like,
this is life.
Yeah.
And yeah, as I said, the cast looks amazing. I'm definitely going to go see that. That is definitely is. Yeah, I'm glad I saw that trailer. I don't know anything about the next thing that we've written down. I've written down stuff in order, but the next thing you've got is I'm just going to read exactly what you wrote.
Yeah.
LOTR, Lord of the Rings, Gollum series 2021.
Yep.
I didn't see this at all. I know that Amazon's got the rights to do a Lord of the Rings series. Is this related to that?
I think it is. Like, I didn't see much information about this either. It's just. That's all I really had was just, and all I came across as well. I tried to do more research and it just kept coming up with that.
So maybe it's not, it's a rumour, a discussion, or is it Andy Serkis kind of said I would return to the character because he does it all the time anyway? Yeah,
I would assume he may not do the motion capture, he may get someone else, but he probably may still do the voice.
I can imagine him
I don't know.
Voice,
he may even come back and do the whole hog, who knows? But it's kind of weird. Like, I think a lot of people were, especially in Amazon announcing they're going to make a Lord of the Rings series, they're like, make it Aragorn or
very expensive
someone
Lord of the
decent.
Rings
Yeah, but I think for Gollum, I think it's probably going to focus more on Gollum before he became Gollum when he was still Smeagol.
Yeah,
before he got the One Ring.
I know. I did see this as a news article and I didn't read it. No, I do remember seeing that little thing that was going to be like a before, how with the having the ring, and then yeah, okay.
They briefly touched on it at the start of Return of the King, and
yeah, of course,
I remember reading it in the novel in the Fellowship of the Ring, so they've taken it from
a
different part of the book as
and
well.
It doesn't have to stick. I mean, they can do whatever they want. They could create more to the story or less, or whatever they want to do to make it work. I don't really know what to think about that. I'm not even that convinced about the series. I think, anyway, the actual one that's been announced that's for Amazon, it's really expensive.
Yeah, sounds
They're
like
now shooting it in Scotland
or somewhere, yeah.
So totally it's got to be its own thing. It can't have anything to do with the Peter Jackson film series because it's not going to look the same unless they get Weta to do all the effects for it and try and make it look the same. Which, I mean, if they do a lot of it in the studio, who knows?
Yeah.
But like nature-wise, obviously Scotland and New Zealand look not very similar. Yeah, I don't think I'd be that fussed about a Smeagol Gollum series.
No,
either, to be
I'd probably check out like one episode or not.
I'm not the audience. I don't think. I like Lord of the Rings, but not like massively.
Yeah, we'd see how it goes. I mean, it could get good reviews, could get bad reviews. We'll just see what happens when it comes out.
I'm going to segue with that. Speaking of bad reviews, Zach Snyder.
Oh, just don't start.
Yeah, so Zach Snyder. What can you say about this? Basically insulted the film-going audience. Basically. Yeah, I don't know how else best to put it.
So I might as well just say
you
it.
Just
like,
go, you
So in Batman and Superman, everyone's like, "Oh, Batman kills people and Superman kills people," and it's like, yeah, okay, that's fine and all, but I think what's made it worse is that Zack Snyder's come out and said, I can't even remember what he said. He's like, what do you expect? It's my universe. I can do what I want.
He basically said, people were, he called them some sort of name. I'd have to think about it. I can't remember, but it was just so, it makes you understand why his universe has gone off the rails.
Yeah.
You know, like he just has this particular vision and it's not what anyone wants.
No. It's what he wants.
Yeah, it's what he wants and it's what the studio let him have. And it was a runaway train and now they're having to correct it. It's a very weird statement. It's blaming the audience for not getting it, you know, he talked about his planned sequels and all that as well, and like what was going to happen. It lines up with what he was set up in Batman v Superman, Justice League, all that sort of stuff a little bit. But even just reading the descriptions, like, I don't want to see that. I don't care. Like, that doesn't sound interesting at all. It doesn't sound fun. Doesn't sound exciting. Yeah. I didn't like Justice League.
I haven't seen it, so I've got no opinion.
There's moments of it that are alright, but it's like it's not a fun movie, and it's the better of the 3 movies he did. Oh, I say that Man of Steel was okay for what it is as a spectacle, but it has not. I was talking to someone. You see if you agree with me. I was talking to someone about this recently. The problem with Zack Snyder's films, more than anything, and the way that then Warner Brothers tried to handle this run instead of walk DC universe. They didn't even call it the DC Extended Universe. That's just what everyone started calling it.
It's a colloquial term.
It's a colloquial term, exactly. Was the fact that we never established the status quo of these characters, right? Batman was never Batman. Superman was never Superman, right? Yeah. You never established this, so why do people care? You can't just expect people to just go... You're basically cashing in on the iconicness of the character and hoping that that's what's drawing people in, and they don't care about the character. So we don't have to see Superman saving anyone. We just know he's conflicted about the idea of humanity, and then when humanity is threatened to an extreme way, he finally makes a decision. But the decision in that case is to kill the bad guy. But, you know, like, there's never this heroic saving. So when they tried to semi-retcon this a little bit in Justice League, because the first shot in the movie is like some kids just filming Superman on a cell phone and talking to him and doing like a little mini interview.
Yeah. And
he's trying to be all smiley and happy. And it's like, well, this is fine if this was the Superman that you showed us in the other 2 movies that he's been in. But this isn't the Superman we saw in the last 2 movies. This is an entirely different Superman. This isn't even the Superman in the Superman Returns Superman movie.
Yeah.
You know, this is not Brandon Routh even. Like, what is going on? And Batman's the same thing. You know, you talk about a Batman who's been there for 20 years, and yet in Batman v Superman, the cops that are investigating that house, they don't even know who Batman is. They don't have any idea who this guy is with the bat logos, and they're cops, right? And he's been doing this for 20 years. Really?
Surely they should know who he is.
So we need to establish some ground rules and some ground understanding of who these characters are, and he didn't even bother doing that. And this is the ethos of that entire franchise, that it was continued to run before it had actually started to walk. And And that's, to me, is the biggest crime of it. It's like, it's all well and good to have these plans about where you want to take this, and Deathstroke and Kearns up and into Justice League, and you've got this idea about what's the character? I can't remember the bad guy's name, but the flashback that's in Batman, Superman.
Was it Darkseid?
Darkseid, yeah. All this stuff. You have all these plans for all these characters, but you don't put any groundwork into them. And the most the scene that epitomizes that more than anything is the bloody email attachments.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, like. It's ridiculous. And then he insults the audience for not getting it. No, the problem is the complete opposite. They completely got it, and they think it's crap. Like, they totally got it.
He just can't take criticism.
He just can't take the criticism, and he can't understand why people didn't respond to it, and why, on the flip side, probably why people were responding to Aquaman and Wonder Woman by themselves, and probably Shazam now as well.
Yeah, because they've actually been established as not necessarily an origin film, but they're growing their own legs.
Yeah, well, yeah, they're becoming characters that stand on their own. You know, and you can put them in different types of movies. There's nothing wrong with it, and there's no problems about having grand plans about where those characters are going. But you need to put the groundwork in, and that's exactly what Marvel did to begin with. Not all the movies are great. Some of them are uneven, but it was about the process, and it was about you couldn't have the Avengers without having the members of the Avengers exist. Yeah, you would just all of a sudden, here's Bruce Banner, and he's like, oh, it's Bruce Banner. He's the Hulk, and now he's in the Avengers.
Yeah,
I mean, some of this criticism can be laid at some of the later Marvel films. Like Bucky's a perfect example. Like, he doesn't get a lot of character development. He's a little bits here and there.
Yeah,
but he suffers in later films because there's the weight of so many characters, and becomes such an important thing to, say, Civil War. But he's still got more than, say, the characters in the Justice League got.
Yeah,
Flash has like 10 minutes. 10 minutes, I think, if that, like, of character development before all of a sudden Bruce Wayne's like, oh, I'm going to form this posse. He's already tried to convince Aquaman, no, I'm not interested yet. Like, oh, it's a mess. It's a mess. Yeah. I'm ranting now. I've been going on for 5 minutes about this shit. But, it's terrible. And I feel personally excited. I think you probably feel personally excited when Zach Snyder says you don't get it. It's like, no, we get it. We just didn't like it.
Yeah.
That's fine. You could just have to accept that fact.
To end on the Snyder ranting, rage, whatever you want
to call it. I'm so sorry.
There's going to be a Snyder cut of Justice League. Just leave it. Go away. Don't even watch it.
This is what everyone wanted. So maybe this is the studio's going, right, this is, this is not what everyone wanted, but it's what a bunch of people wanted. Now, the interesting thing is, I know you didn't even finish completing the film, so who'll have to use, this is like the Richard Donner cut of Superman 2, because he was, axed off the movie before he finished filming it, so they have to basically create a film out of it. And in that case, he still had when they did the recut, he still had to use footage from the final film in order to make it work, because the footage that he wanted to film wasn't even there. So if there's stuff that he didn't film or shoot because he wasn't there anymore when he had to leave the production, then it's not going to really be his cut. It's just going to be an alternative cut that he's had more input on. I don't know. It seems, I'm with you. It seems pointless at this stage. It wasn't a well-received movie. I don't think his cut's going to make that any better, especially when he comes out and makes these sorts of comments.
Yeah, I think people would just be like, no, he's screwed with us. We're not going to go see it.
He's just going to double down.
Up yours.
Yeah, exactly. On a more positive note, let's move on to something more positive. I'm going to start with the more positive part of this, and you can talk about the other bit, but I'll start with it. There was a school play of Alien.
Yeah.
And it was apparently awesome.
Yeah.
I saw some of the footage. Did you see it? Yeah.
I have seen some of it, yeah.
It is really amazing. Like, no budget, basically, and they made this amazing looking alien.
It's just like parts and scraps and cardboard from like a local scrap dealer.
And just
rubbish dump.
Rubbish dump and whatever they could pull together and borrow and steal, probably from
pretty much
home.
Yeah.
And not only that, beyond it being awesome and everyone going on about it, like, the people involved in the original film, Ridley Scott, Sigourney Weaver, have sent messages to the school, sent money to the school. Ridley Scott's putting money so that they can do it again.
Wow, I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
wow.
He's like, and he wants to fund a little bit of because he's the arts work and stuff. But the thing is, and this is where I'm going to lead to you because you've got something else to talk about. It's very timely because the film is 40 years old this year.
Yep.
So for the 40th anniversary, what are they doing?
So it's not necessarily IGN, but they're being released on IGN. Was it 6 short films?
Yeah, 6.
They're just made by I guess, I don't know, film school graduates. Or
I think people submitted ideas.
And I think they've already released one. I think there's supposed to be another one today or tomorrow, I think, our time.
Yeah.
Have you seen the first one?
No, I still haven't got around to seeing it. I want to see it. I'm meaning to. So
I can't even remember what it's called. I think is it Contamination?
I read the blurbs for them all. So
yeah,
4 out of the 5 to deal with xenomorphs, and 5 out of the 6 like dealing with xenomorphs, and the last one with the face hugger chest burster thing. I think.
Yeah, story. I think the first one that got released is Contamination. It's 3 people on what looks to be an escape pod. 4, but one of them's like asleep or dead. We don't know. And then it's pretty much your typical alien story where, you know, something's happened. One of them could be contaminated with, like, they've had a face hugger and then they've got a chest burster in them, but you don't know who, and they all sort of start infighting. And then eventually one of them does have it, and then it gets on the loose. You don't really see it. You see it burst out, and then you see a tail under part of the ship, and then
a certain budget.
Yeah, and then one of the characters, they're docking with like another bigger ship to be rescued, and then one of the characters just draws on the window with the blood from
the
dead person that just had the chest burster come out and say, "Do not open," because contamination. Then that's pretty much where it finishes. It's a nice little 9.5 minute film.
That's cool. Yeah,
it fits in, so it'd be good to see what the rest are.
I assume they're all going to be kind of in that 10-minute-ish range.
Yeah.
That's really awesome. I haven't seen it. I'll have to go watch it. I will recommend people, if they go and look at the alien footage of that school show as well. It's crazy. It's really cool.
Granted, it's not high quality footage. It's just cell phone footage, but it's you know, you get the idea of it. And
there are some stills out there too of the alien, which look really cool. Like someone's taken some really nice.
I think there's various news stories too. Like news outlets in the US have covered it too, and they've actually got more detailed images of like the person in the suit running around and stuff. Yeah.
So I definitely recommend go and look online. And these shorts sound like they're really incredible. The other short that they did release that they're kind of as part of this, and IGN's also releasing, I don't know if you saw, was to do with Amanda Ripley. They're using parts of the Alien game to kind of tell that story again.
I didn't see this.
There was a separate mobile game that was kind of a retelling. I don't know if it was that event. It was also called Alien. I think it's also still called Alien in Isolation. But it's they're turning bits of that into a cinematic film as well for the same reason, for part of the anniversary. I haven't seen more about it, but I did see the news story saying it was going to happen. I don't know when. It might be out now. It might be out soon. I'll have to look. I can always come back to it. But I like the game. It was really great. So people who hadn't seen the story about playing the game, it's kind of cool. But it's a shame they need to make another one. I think people it didn't sell as well as they'd hoped because of Colonial Marines that came out before it, which was supposed to be part of canon. I don't think it is now. The story would have fit in the canon if it had been a good game. But the game itself is really impressive, and I think. And I would definitely want to see more of Ripley's daughter's story. Yeah, trying to find her mother. So it was very
whole
cool.
Story behind that.
Yeah, definitely very, very cool indeed. I've got one thing left. On this list, and you have to explain this because I'm gonna read exactly what you wrote. Inaugural Anchorman race at San Diego Padres baseball game.
Yep. So
I didn't see this at all.
No, I can't even remember whether I was at work or whether I saw it on Facebook somewhere. But so San Diego Padres baseball game. There was an Anchorman, like they normally have mascot races at baseball games where it's like you have like presidents or, you know, mascots from other baseball teams or, you know, spokespeople from like not Colonel Mustard, but like, you know, they'll have like condiments or something. From,
I get it. Yeah. I get what you mean.
And they'll do races around the diamond. Now this one happened to be an Anchorman race of all the characters from Anchorman. So it's like Ron Burgundy, Brick, Brian, and... Champ Kind, thank you. It's like trying to name 7 dwarfs.
It's I remember all these so well. So 60% of the time it works every time.
Yeah, it's so they had them all starting at home plate, and they have to run around the diamond. And I think in the end, Ron Burgundy won. And
I'm assuming this is just people dressed as the characters. This wasn't Will Ferrell and Paul Rudd.
See, here's where I'm going. See, it was people dressed as the characters, but they had like those giant novelty heads on as well.
Oh, okay,
like Mardi Gras parade heads. Of the characters.
Yeah.
So like caricature sort of thing.
So they were really like mascots,
Yeah. And I was thinking about it. That could actually be the cast, and like one day they probably will be all of them, and they'll take it off, and it's actually them probably in costume as well.
There was some old There's some behind the scenes footage of them prepping to come out that comes out in a few weeks' time, where it's like them all standing in the hallway ad-libbing with each other, and then they're like, it's time to get out there, and then they put the helmets on and run out, and you didn't see this bit. And that would be pretty funny, but I don't know. It's possible. I wish I'd seen this. I might go have to look it up online.
I'm pretty sure it'll be on YouTube. I mean, it is quite funny, and I just thought, man, how great it would be for like one of them to fall over and the big helmet.
I've seen that
face
happen,
comes off, and you see the person.
It would have been funny if
turns out to be like Will Ferrell or something.
It was actually them, and they did that intentionally to do that, and then to reveal that it actually was them. That would have been pretty
I didn't even research it. It could have just been a one-off thing, but they could keep doing it because it is San Diego.
That is true.
It could happen more often.
The only other thing that would have made that funny is they did that, and then that happened, and then a rival news team came out.
Yeah. That would be good too.
And it was actually like some other people from other rival news teams and this team of rival news teams. That would be pretty funny, I think.
I think watch the space. It could happen again.
We've talked so much about all the news. Like literally, I think we've talked for almost an hour 20, which is crazy. There's been so much.
It's probably the longest
with the CinemaCon stuff. It's definitely the most we talked about news. We won't talk too much about movie reviews, but I did want to talk to you about one movie you went and saw, Fighting with My Family, because we talked about this last time. I have no understanding of wrestling, really, compared to you. Like, I understand a little bit of wrestling, but I don't understand it. So I'm going to let you I haven't seen the movie either, so I'll let you just talk about what you thought about the movie, what relevance it is, all the stuff that you thought about it, and you let loose.
Okay.
Unleash the inner wrestler.
I won't go on a rant as your Snyder did, but so Fighting with My Family is based on a documentary that Dwayne Johnson saw while he was in the UK filming one of the Fast and Furious movies, pretty much called the same thing, Fighting with My Family, and it's about WE superstar Paige, who she was born into the wrestling business from her parents in the UK, and when I say born into it, she was literally wrestling while she was still in the womb, because her mother didn't know she was pregnant at the time.
Okay.
But so she's wrestled her whole life. And then Dwayne Johnson met up with Stephen Merchant and said, hey, I've got an idea for a movie. Do you want to direct it?
No, my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, but he had obviously also seen her at some point, the actual Paige.
Yes.
At some point, and was quite impressed just by her in general before this, which is maybe why he saw the documentary. Is this my understanding? Or I hear this correctly?
I think he probably knew her and met her a few times as well, backstage and all that, but I think at this time he just happened to see this documentary while he was in the UK, and he's like, all right, let's, I know her quite well, so let's talk more about her. Yeah. Okay. That's my understanding of it anyway, yeah.
I just remember hearing something about him, because when he was producing, I just remember hearing this, that he had been already impressed by her in general, which then would explain why someone like him would potentially sit down and watch a documentary to see more about her upbringing, I guess. It makes sense. But anyway, I'm detracting from your thing. I just asking you a question. I'm curious.
It's perfectly fine.
Curious.
But it touches on like her early life of like coming up and wrestling and not really being into it when she was younger, but then she eventually does, and then she has to end up fighting her brother because there's no other girls in her local area that are good enough, as they say, so I think her brother has to dress up as a girl, so then they can have like girl fights.
Is this true? Is that true? Is that?
I don't know how much of that's true. It could just be for effect for the movie.
I wouldn't surprise me. I know someone who used to do kickboxing, or they probably still do, but they didn't have enough competitors at the same weight range for them, and it was very hard to find people at the same. Well, not just weight and skill as well. So I could imagine. Imagine that. But that's pretty extreme.
Yeah. Well, considering her parents ran the local promotion,
they could probably,
and they wrestled as well, they probably just went, put a dress on, or a wig. Funny. But and then it follows her sort of rise from independent wrestling scene in the UK up to getting a trial at the O2 one day, before like a Raw or SmackDown show, and then her getting picked, but not her brother, even though it was more her brother's dream.
Yes.
And then she sort of goes on this rant of like, if you don't pick my brother, you don't get me, sort of thing. And then it's like she has to make the decision, and her brother ends up forcing her to go, and then he battles through a bout of depression because of it, because it was more his dream. And then it focuses on how, because she's different, she's like quite pale skinned, and she doesn't look like any of the other blonde girls with big boobs, so to speak. They're like models, and she's like, she doesn't stand out, so she eventually like dyes her hair blonde to try and fit in and get the look, and then she doesn't she doesn't impress all the coaches and all that there, so they're sort of like, we don't. They don't necessarily say we don't need you, but or want you, but they sort of give her the vibe that she's done the wrong thing, and they don't kick her out, and she doesn't quit, and then she comes back and stronger, and then it sort of shows her rise through the rookie school NXT that they have, where all the trainees go to learn, and then she eventually goes to the main roster and then wins the women's title at the time. And it's like
a biopic with maybe loose comedy elements from the way the trailer was portrayed, because it's Stephen Merchant, so I expect that, and probably mostly based on true story.
Yeah, mostly based on a true story. There's probably definitely bits there that are a bit embellished. Yeah, like I think some of the consistency with like what titles are valid at the time, but I won't go into that.
Yeah. I heard the cast. I heard the cast is amazing. I heard it's very good. It's entertaining, funny, heartwarming, kind of those sort of things you expect of a biopic. So there's two questions that I will follow that up with. For a wrestling fan, would you recommend the film? And for a non-wrestling fan, would you recommend the film?
I'd probably say yes to both. Okay. To be honest, like you don't need to necessarily know much about wrestling to go and watch it.
No, I assume that's always the hope with these things.
Yeah, as a standard sort of heartwarming movie, you could probably still go to it and ignore the fact that it's wrestling. It's just
sometimes the reverse is true when you have something that's about a particular sport or person in that sport. Sometimes it puts off the people who enjoy that sport because they feel like it's simplified or it kind of overlooks the actual sport in the case of the thing. And sometimes it's not just sport, it's obviously like musicians that can overlook parts of their life or whatever. You can talk about like Bohemian Rhapsody, for example. Does that also apply? Do you think that like the film doesn't, if you're a really big wrestling fan, that you would actually be more frustrated at some of the things like what you're talking about with like title bouts and
I definitely think there would be like you'd probably go it was the wrong title at the wrong time, and it's
this thing didn't exist and that happened then
exactly. So there's certain timeline elements that don't sort of match up, but you can sort of forgive it. For if you go into it not being a wrestling fan, you'd go okay. No, you'd fully understand it.
I don't know if the film covers this, but I do know that in the end she injured herself and had to leave the being a professional wrestler, right? This is the truth, right?
This is actually true, yeah.
Does it cover that point in the movie?
No, it does not.
No. So that's what I heard. I heard sort of it celebrates someone who did achieve very well, and then unfortunately through injury...
She had a short career, unfortunately, yeah. But there's a bit in the movie, which is also in one of the trailers, where... Because Dwayne Johnson's in it as himself, but as The Rock, kind of that weird sort of situation, so it's like...
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's hard to detract like whether he's playing
a character
himself or playing The Rock playing himself, sort of thing. It's a weird mix of to see someone.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I know what you mean.
See someone play themselves but not play themselves. Yeah, it's a weird thing. This
happened in movies before where people play versions of themselves, and you're not sure how much of this version is actually them and how much is them playing it up. And...
I do agree. As I was saying, there's a bit in the trailer where you see. Paige and Dwayne Johnson in a suite at WrestleMania 30, which I think in reality, that conversation was supposed to be Dwayne Johnson telling the real Paige about him wanting to make that movie. But in the movie, it's him telling her that she's going to debut on Raw the next night.
So they changed it for that.
Yeah, and then that's where she wins the women's title at the time.
Some changes.
For little changes
for the film.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's where general wrestling fans will go, they've changed it, I don't really like it. But I think if you're a wrestling fan and you like movies, just don't go into it with a wrestling mind. Just go into it with a standard film mind, and you'll probably enjoy it.
Cool. That's the answer I wanted. I was expecting to hear. Yeah, definitely. All right, I think we've talked enough about news and
so much
fighting with my family. It's almost an hour and a half, but we're going to play one final round, fourth round of names from the bag. Now, last time we talked about the scores, and we hadn't actually gone through these scores properly. So I'm going to sum up the scores.
Yep.
So in our second episode, Ryan scored a 3, a 4, and a 3, a total of 10. And I scored a 4, an 8, and a 5 for a total of 17.
Damn.
In episode 3, Ryan scored a 2, a 4, and a 4 for a total of 10. I scored an 8, a 10, and a 3 for a total of 21. And in the last episode 4, Ryan scored a 1, a 3, and a 0 for a total of 4.
Go me.
And I scored a 3, an 8, and a 3 for a total of 14. Now, Ryan, did you pay attention there? Do you have the quick maths in your head? Do you know what you've actually scored overall? If I added all those totals together,
No,
you weren't paying attention. You're just shocked.
I want to say about, I don't know, 24.
Oh my God, you are correct. Exactly 24.
Wow.
That was exactly
a
it.
guess.
It was 2 10s and a 4, 24. What about mine? Were you paying attention to mine?
I want to say 43.
Oh, not close. 17, 21, 14. Can you work it out? The pressure's on.
38. No, 46.
52.
52, damn.
52.
That's 6.
So you got 24, I got 52. So I got more than double
Yeah.
what your points are. So what we need
abysmal.
to do to make this work for you to have the potential to win overall is we have to make this like quadruple points.
Yeah.
But the problem with that is that if I continue to win,
Yeah.
and I get quadruple points, it's going to be
all over.
It's a mess. You're out of here, man. Like,
Yeah.
so I think we'll ignore this. We'll do the scores for the laugh.
Yeah.
But I think we'll ignore the overall tally because I think that's just too punishing either
Yeah.
way.
Yes.
But I just thought you'd be interested to know what the scores were. You did quite well in general. Like the fact that you got consistent 10s for the first 2, I thought were pretty good. You just happened to go against me when I got like a 10 for Schwarzenegger, or it might have been Tom Hanks actually, I think, which was quite easy. So anyway, so this is our last round of this, and next time we're going to play a new game, which we will talk about in the next podcast. So this will just make this even longer if we discuss it now. So anyway, we've got our bag. It's not names from a hat, it's names from a bag. Rules are simple as always. We pick a name out of the hat / bag, and we turn it over, and then we have a timer of 30 seconds. I have to get a timer ready while I'm thinking about this.
Yeah, I'll do it while you're
Ryan's
talking.
Ryan's doing it while I'm talking. So we get a timer ready, 30 seconds, and we have to name as many films by that actor is in within 30 seconds. So I've got the timer ready.
Sorry, I'm just deciding which one I want to choose because I don't like the feel of any of them.
Ryan has gone shy on this. The
I've got
bag's
one.
here. I need to put this out of the way so I can see.
Oh, yeah. Is it
Alright.
face down? Yep, it's
Yep,
face down.
Cool. Right. All right. I'm going to count you in.
Can I pick it up? There we go.
You got an edge to
Yep.
it. Cool. Right. And in 3, 2, 1.
Robert De Niro. Taxi, Meet the Fockers, Deer Hunter, Godfather, Shark Tale, no, I've gone blank.
Time. Unfortunately, I have to give you 4 out of that rather than 5 because I can't accept taxi. It would be taxi driver.
Yeah, I realised that afterwards.
If you corrected it, I would have accepted it. But the rest are right.
Yeah.
So that was 4 for Ryan. 4. To reset that for
Very
you.
cool. Right, we got one.
Ryan, have a look. So let me pick the...
Got an edge.
got an edge.
Right, 3, 2, 1. Go.
Rick Moranis. Oh my gosh. Strange Brew. Ghostbusters. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Spaceballs. Gosh, Dark Helmet. Far out. I'm just thinking of the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids sequels now. Oh God, what else has been in? Oh my God, my mind's gone blank.
2 and time.
Yeah.
You could go downtown to find these answers.
Little Shop of Horrors.
Yeah, of course.
How could I forget that? Suddenly Seymour. Far out. That's real frustrating. It's like right in front of me, like thinking about that. Like as soon as you say it, I'm like, of course, it's so obvious. Like, I'm thinking Ghostbusters and everything else. Right.
To be honest, I probably would have been stumped on though.
Yeah. Strange Brew is good. It's him and Dave Thomas. SCT is it SCTV? Second City maybe? Oh, or Canada one. I can't remember. But they play like these 2 Canuck guys that brew beer and.
Oh yeah, now I know.
They were based on a short skit, and there's an actual movie. So
That's all right.
This time, right? And in 3, 2, 1.
Oh, Christopher Walken. I've just completely drawn a blank. Pulp Fiction.
Yep.
Can I include Saturday Night Live?
No, it's
No,
not a movie.
Okay.
More cowbell, Ryan. More
Yeah,
cowbell.
Wayne's World 2.
Yep.
All I can think of is Weapon of Choice by Fatboy Slim. Just that dance.
That's time.
Oh,
You could have had the Deer Hunter.
of course, he's with the De Niro.
Yeah.
Damn.
You could have had A View to a Kill.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Just remember that. It's a view to a kill. So bad.
Of course.
There's probably a million more you could have had. I'm not even gonna. If I just keep spouting more often now, I'm gonna just be like a real dick.
Christopher Walken. Ho!
Ho! Foo Fighters!
Foo Fighters.
Foo Fighters! Yeah, we won't go down that path
No.
again. Are you tired enough for that? It seems like you are.
No.
All right, round 2 for me. I've
Yep.
got an edge.
And 3, 2, 1, go.
Natalie Portman. Okay, it was Star Wars. Obviously, Phantom Menace would probably be a good start. Garden State. V for Vendetta. Black Swan. Oh my gosh, now I'm starting to draw a blank. Hesher with Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Oh my god, my brain's going blank. I've had pictures of her in lots of movies and I can't even think right now.
And time.
Got any others?
Mr. Megorium's Wonder Emporium.
Good call.
With Dustin Hoffman.
Yep.
There was one I saw earlier in the year at work, which I can't remember what it is now. It's a Abrams film. It's like she walks through like a mystical dome.
Oh, Annihilation.
Yeah, Annihilation.
Yeah, should have thought about that one.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
Have you seen that?
No, it was on Netflix, so I was
It's an
meant to watch
alright
it.
film.
Yeah, it was
I
supposed to get a
enjoyed it.
theatrical release, and very long story. We won't go into it, but it was only released in the States theatrically, and everywhere else went on Netflix.
What have we got left? Is it just 2 left?
No,
of this?
there's a few more.
Oh, there's a few
You get
more?
a few,
All right.
there's a few to pick from for your last one. This is
excellent.
last round.
Oh, goody. There is quite a few. Wow.
Yeah. So I told you we had enough. We'd probably even have maybe enough for one more, but we won't subject you to that anymore. No more of that. This is our last one. So.
Let's see. I want that one. I'm feeling good about this one.
All right. It's got a. Let's see what it is. It's got a. Oh, it's middle sized. Middle sized.
Yeah, middle-sized.
Right. Okay. I'm going to start the countdown in 3, 2, 1.
Harrison Ford. Star Wars. Air Force One.
Yep.
The what is it? The Fugitive.
3. Yep.
Indiana Jones.
4. Yep.
American Graffiti.
Correct.
Yeah, American
5.
Graffiti. I was going to say American Beauty, but it's not. What else? Not True Lies. That's Schwarzenegger.
2, 1.
No.
Time. 5. That's pretty good. Patriot Games. Frantic. What else am I thinking of? Morning Glory.
Yeah.
Anchorman 2.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Small bit.
Small bit Anchorman 2. Gosh. Very good. Very good. Well done, sir. All right. Last round. Final round.
For all the points in the world.
For all the points. I think you've done as good as me this time. Maybe the one that last round with Harrison Ford, you've actually done better than I've done this week. Right. That's lucky last. I'm shuffling.
Every day you're
Shuffling. Yeah, I
do
know.
do 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 do
I've
do.
seen that one. That was me.
Right. You ready? And 3, you got an edge.
Yep.
2, 1, go.
John Cleese. Oh, okay. Fish Called Wanda. I'm going to cheat this one, but not because it's cheating. So Monty Python, Holy
Yep.
Grail, Meaning of Life. Like, they're different characters. It's not the
Yeah,
same.
all right, I'll give you that. All right.
Look, I have to count these because they're not the
All
same
right,
character.
fair, cool.
Meaning of Life, Life of Brian. Oh my god, my brain's gone blank about John Cleese and movies now because I've made this range and just wasted much time.
Time.
Yeah. What else would you give me?
Would have given you Harry Potter. He's nearly headless Nick.
Yeah, of
Would
course.
have also given you James Bond.
Oh, of course.
He's
'cause
Q.
He became Q. I did remember. As soon as you said that, I was like, Q, of course. We call it they call it a vanquish. We call it a vanish. That's, oh my god, that was really hard. John Cleese. I mean, I had to cheat essentially by saying
I'll give you that though.
because they aren't the same character. It's a skit comedy essentially. So he's always playing different characters, even in the same movie. So. But it's like each of them play like about 10 or 15 characters each, usually
and the
at
rest.
minimum.
And the rest.
Exactly. Right, that was the final round. We've got a new game for the next episode.
Yep, but we'll keep that under lock and key until then.
But in the next game, we can say that hopefully the way it plays, unlike this where it's just kind of us involved, you'll actually be able to play when you're listening, so you can guess along with us.
Yeah.
So that'll be an interesting way to do it. I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, that's the end of the. I say almost. I want to say you won this round, which is a good redemption for the last.
Yeah, we could find out the score for the next episode as well and confirm or deny that.
Right. I think we admonished the score, but now that you're winning, you've decided that you want the score.
Wow. Might as well. Let's be honest.
Cheeky monkey. Cool.
But yeah, that's pretty much it for episode, what are we, 5 now?
5, yes, yeah, 5. Thanks, Ryan.
Sorry. We hope you've enjoyed listening to us ramble for this length of time. I think this is by far our longest.
Huge. I just there was so much news and we really wanted to cover it, and hopefully we've kept the energy up and entertaining and talked, and you listened to me rant about Zach Snyder's uselessness long enough. It was just long enough, I feel like. Not too long, just long enough. No,
just the right length.
Just the right amount.
As always, remember, if you like listening to us, like, subscribe, share, let everybody know you know. Yeah, tell people about us. Tell everyone. And we will catch you next time. Hopefully we'll have some more actual movie reviews and less news, because this episode's been so news heavy. I'm hoping we probably won't be able to get another one of these done until after Avengers, actually, thinking about it now. Because just thinking about time-wise. I would say so, yeah. At least till early May. Because it's Armageddon and stuff. So it will probably be the end of the month, early May, basically. So we will be back probably to talk about the Avengers. Mm-hmm. So we're looking forward to that. So we'll see you in episode 6. Catch you then. Bye.